So the sixth problem is a radical equation. So we have this square root term on the left-hand side. We need to move all the other terms to the right-hand side. That's the way we solve radical equations. So we would have the square root of 12 minus 2x, and we subtract 2 from both sides. So we end up with is equal to x minus 2. So now that we have it so that the radical's on the left and everything else is on the right, then we square both sides, which gives us that 12 minus 2x is equal to x minus 2 squared, and x minus 2 squared is equal to x squared minus 4x plus 4. So if we now see that that has an x squared term, an x term, and a constant term, we can see that we have a quadratic equation. So if we move all the terms to the left, we end up with negative x squared, and we're going to add 4x to both sides, so plus 4x, and then we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. So in doing so, we end up with negative x squared plus 8. I'm just going to move it over even though it doesn't really line up, and plus 2x, and that would be equal to 0 now. So now that we have our simplified quadratic equation, we're going to plug this into the quadratic formula. So we have negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 2 times 2, 4, minus 4 times a times c. So 4 times a times c is negative 32, because it's 4 times 8 times negative 1. So subtracting negative 32 is the same as adding 32, and it's over 2a, so minus 2. So to simplify that, we would end up with negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 36 over negative 2, which is equal to negative 2 plus or minus 6 over negative 2. So the two answers that we get out of this is that we have negative 2 minus 6 over negative 2. So that's going to be negative 8 over negative 2, which gives us 4 as one possible answer. And then negative 2 plus 6 gives us 4 over negative 2, which gives us negative 2 as the other possible answer. Now for a radical equation, when you start with a radical, you always have to take these answers back and plug them in to make sure they work. So in the original equation, we had 2 plus the square root of 12 minus 2x equals to x. So we need to plug the 4 in to make sure it works. So if we plug the 4 in, we end up with 2 plus the square root of 12 minus 2 times 4, which is the same as minus 8, is equal to x, which is 4. So we have 2 plus the square root of 4 is equal to 4, and the square root of 4 is equal to 2, plus 2 is equal to 4, so we end up with 4 is equal to 4. So that's a good valid answer. Now if we try plugging in the negative 2, we end up with 2 plus the square root of 12. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4, so we end up with plus 4 equals negative 2. So we have 2 plus the square root of 16 equals negative 2. So 2 plus 4 equals negative 2, which clearly that's not the case, because 6 does not equal negative 2. So negative 2 is not a good answer. So our single answer here is the 4.